So this is the hip toss, and the hip toss starts from the underhook. The underhook can be a setup to a lot of other things, but is the only setup to the hip toss, okay? So typically you'll do it on your dominant side, so your right side is going to look for the underhook. The underhook is when you get your elbow underneath your armpit and reach to the top of the shoulder and try and grab something. Okay, so that's the underhook. Okay, so in the hip toss, I really throw my hip across the body. So there's a few options of what you can grab. Your opposite hand, so it would be my left hand, you can either grab the wrist, you can grab the tricep. That's about it actually. Yeah, you got about two options. Maybe you can do an overhook by squeezing your elbow in. That's essentially grabbing the tricep. Okay, so the first thing that you have to get is the underhook. It's really important. When you have the underhook, you look for the other hand, and you need to create space. So the hip toss is a rather slow move compared to a lot of the other ones. So it really has to get set up a lot better than some of the other moves. Okay? What has to happen is you have to take a huge step with your right foot, or the same foot that you're going for the underhook, across his body. And it has to be a big step, because if you don't take a big step, you can't get your hip far enough, and they're not going to go over your hip. They'll just come to face you in front. Okay? So, really important, that right step has to be huge, so that your hip can get out, and he's just going to go over your hip. Okay? So, underhook, grabbing. So, like I said, setting them up. So you need to create space in my left side of the body, his right side of the body. So I suggest trying to turn him, move him in some sort of way so that you create more space. So for me, that's pulling him with that underhook. So I pull him with the underhook, and now I'm already halfway turned. All I have to take is a smaller step, and I don't have to be facing him and completely turn my body to get the hip toss. So try that when you're doing it. Take a step and pull him with that underhook. And now we can do the turn, and we're going to throw him. So similar to the head and arm, we have to be doing a turning, torquing motion at the same time as we have to be going down to the ground. So I have the hip toss here, I'm in, and I can choose to stand up and use only strength and throw him over top. But it's less likely to work because that's all muscle. So as you're torquing them over, and you're using all that strength, drop down to your knees, okay? That way you can use your weight and use that downward momentum to help you get him over top of you, him or her, okay? So again, you're with your partner, get that underhook, you start setting him up, and of course you have to grab something else on the other side, and you pull him to set him up, step through, get your hip out, and I might have to step back as well to get as close to his body as I can. The more space there is, the less likely this is going to work. You can slip this because there's way too much space. I have to get my hip right into his body. So similar to the head and arm, I have to be close to him. Setting him up, I'm in close, no space, my hip is on his stomach, and now I turn as I fall down. Some people will go to both knees. I prefer staying on one knee. So which knee do I stay on? So I just drop my right knee, and I find that helps me keep my hip out a little bit longer. I'm going to go over top, but feel free to try dropping on both knees as well. So that is the hip toss, upper body attack.